Cell NITRR open source. You're at the right place. We want to get started with some open source contributions. So today I'll be demonstrating how to solve a good first issue. So we have been working on these three repositories currently: TEESCO backend, TEESCO website, TEESCO app. TEESCO is a volunteer management application we are building. You can know more about it in another video on this channel. Right now, since I know a thing or two about backend, I'll be contributing to TEESCO backend. To know better about a repository, it's recommended to read the wiki or the README file about how to get started and more about what they're working on. In order to contribute, you need to go into issues and look for an issue that you can solve. If it's your first time contributing to any repository, looking into a good first issue is a good idea to get acquainted with the code base and the work. So the issue I'm looking into is this good first issue, which says add messages to empty responses and empty list responses. So the bug is that for most 201 created responses are empty and we want to respond with a success message, and you need to go at this URL to reproduce the behavior. And it's good to read any relevant information, any links in the issue or the comments. These comments are related to editing the issue, so nothing that we need to be concerned of. So whenever you decide to work on an issue, you have to comment something like, I am working on this issue. Just so that they know that you're working on it, and or you can also ask them to assign it to you, and any one of us will be assigning it to you. Something like, can I pick up this issue? Or will you please assign me this issue, or anything like that. For example, over here I want to work on this issue, and our team member gladly assigned it to him. So just like that, it's good to mention so that a lot of people are not working on the same issues, and you don't need to completely be ready with the solution while commenting I'm working on this issue. Rather, you can also comment any doubts that you have, and we will be happy to resolve them. So when you finally decide to solve an issue and comment on it as well, your first thing you need to do for solving it is to fork the repository, that is creating your own copy of the repository. So as you can see, Priyanshi, I already have my fork. So now to work on this fork in my local, I'll need to clone it in my local. So I have my VS Studio open. You can use any editor you're comfortable with. I personally like this better. So the command in the terminal that I'll type is git clone, and this might take a while. Done. So now I'll go inside my clone repository, as this is what I'm working with, CD TEESCO backend. And a good idea is to open the README file, which basically contains the steps to get started. So I'll simply copy it from here, creating a virtual environment. Since I already have Python 3.7 installed, I didn't have a problem. You might need to install it according to these steps. Can help you. Then I'll be activating my virtual environment. You see this env in the bracket means that my environment is activated. Now I'll be installing the requirements. This might also take a while. The next step is make a copy of .env.sample to env and change values to their original values. So this env sample, I'll make a copy. I just copy and pasted it, and I'll rename this to .env. And here you can fill the details as per your requirement. I'll do this change for true or false. You need to fill either true or false, I'll set it to true for now. Rest should be fine. And this salary setup and email setup is not something that you would require for this particular issue or most good first issues, so I'll be leaving it as it is and waiting for my requirements to be installed. And that is done. So I'll run migrations. As mentioned, this is also not a compulsory step for this, but I'll just do it anyways. And so to test that everything is working fine, and run my server, and I'll try opening this. And it is working. Creation or found is fine because we haven't find a page for it, so this is what we want. So I'll get out of this. And now whenever you're working, you've created your local thing, you need to ensure that what you're working with is in line to the original repository, like your copy is in line with what the original is. So for that we have this command, git pull upstream dev. What this means is you're pulling from the upstream repository, use dev branch. Now what is this upstream repository? You actually need to set this upstream repository the first time you clone your repository. This will be the URL, this will contain the URL of the original repository. So the command is git remote add upstream, and I'll copy the URL of the original repository, that is NITRR. Let's go back and I'll copy it from here, and it's set probably. So I'll git pull upstream dev, and it's up to date. Chances are that it will be up to date if you've just forked your repository, but as you go ahead to solve more difficult issues, you will need to pull upstream every time you work. It's a good practice just to ensure there are less conflicts. So for every issue that you solve, we're expected to solve it in a new branch just to keep stuff separated. So I'll get checkout -p, and the name of my branch should be such that I remember the issue well. So I will keep, what better to mark an issue than its issue number, so I'll keep it something as 94 score and responses. Actually, you don't need to capitalize it, I just did it anyways, doesn't really matter as much. So now if I go to git branch, you can see that now I'm working on this 94 add responses, which I checked out from git dev branch, which I was previously working on. Now any changes I'll be doing will be in this branch of mine. So what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to go to this URL, API users register. So let me look for it. So I'll go to my server first, URLs, and API/users includes the users.urls. So I will go to users app and URLs, and the register URL derives itself from registration view, which must be imported from views. So I will go to views.py, and if my registration use, so I see this 201 response is an empty bracket. Same here, the 201 created response is empty. So this is something which needs to be filled. So with detail user has been registered successfully. So I'll copy this from here as it is. And I noticed something, that the examples have been set from responses. So what I do is I will actually create a response in the responses file and then use it from there, which will be better way to do so. So, and even if you don't do it like this, we will be reviewing your PR such that you do it. Yeah, so user register, actually as a user registration success. Let's go to one and I'll save this to the responses, and I'll be using this in my view. So what I want to do is I'll be using responses dot user registration success 201, and I'll be doing the same. This was my Swagger documentation. I'll need to do it in my actual response as well. Now a good idea would be to see if there are any more success requests in any other views, and since the mentions for most 201 treated responses and not only register is an example. So I'll go to other views just to see if there are any success responses. So I'll put a response there. So login doesn't have a 201, so I don't need to do anything. Forgot password, no sense. Basically user won't have a 201 because 201 be something where I'll create a log or create a query or something like that. So I'll not search user, go to org and go to views, my org view, and see 201 is empty here as well. So I'll go to my responses and add an org created 201 as well. So I'll add an org created underscore 201, and that will be equal to, I'll just change the user to org from here, use it. Organization, it's been registered successfully. Copy this, go to my view and set the example accordingly. So that responds this dot or created 201, and I'll do it in the empty response below as well. And I don't think we'll create same for, we have a group as well, so I'll do something similar for the group. This could leave an extra line. To my views, say response is this and then add the response here as well. To 100, 201, but we have a response added here, so that's good for us. So I suppose there are no more responses in the org. I'll just look into tasks and servers as well, just in case. I'll go to the views, and here also the 201 is empty, so I'll close a lot of this stuff that is open that we don't really need. Yeah, so I'll go to the responses, add a task created response. Oops, just see here. Task has been created successfully. This looks right to me. The space. Copy this onto my views. I'll set the example for responses dot we just did. And I'll copy this to the empty response below as well. I will do the same for queries, and we don't have responses.file. We don't have views and queries, so that's fine. So I think we have done all our changes, and just in case if we have not, so you can wait for strict review. So I'll just check the status for what we have changed, and you see we have modified a lot of files. And when I click get add dot, and now if I check the status, you'll see that it turns green, which means we have recorded the changes, and now we can commit them. And the commit message should be something relevant, so I'll say added 201 responses. Now I just like to check the name of the branch that I'm pushing to, so that I don't do anything. So I need to push it to my Git repository at the original space. That's how it sounds, git push origin, to push my commit to branch. And as you can see, you have pushed in to make a pull request. This is the link you have. I will go to my fork to do so. I'll just use this link. So here I can make a pull request to add the pull request is basically I am asking to incorporate the changes I have done in the main repositories, main branch, dev branch, the branch that we're working on. So it fixes issue number 94. So I'll mention that. Tag 94. And description should have summary of changes. So I'd say I have added responses for 201 created in org. Or I'll just add the names of the views. What views do I have? Actually, I will just add in the apps org for organization and group. The following apps. I add number 1 org. User, you don't really need to be very, good and precise. You need to be precise, you just don't need to worry about being perfect. Just registration. Unlike me. And I think we added it for tasks too. A task creation. We did change the code, and we also did changes to the Swagger documentation, so I'll keep code and documentation. This adds some, this is a bug fix, non-breaking changes that fixes an issue, and it's not really a new feature. We already had the feature, we just added documentation to this. We haven't run any explicit tests, but what we can do is we can see if previous tests are running fine. We've probably not broken anything. So I'll run Python 3 manage.py test. You will also be writing tests as you solve more issues or solve issues related to testing. This also might take a while. You see these dots that are coming, these are successful tests. You'll see something like an F or some other alphabet when a test will fail. Till then I'll fill it further. So it does follow the style guidelines. So I'll remove the space and add an X for a check mark. I have performed self-review. I've not really commented anywhere. I have not really done much documentation. I'm not saying this because we have update Swagger documentation as a separate one. Any dependent changes, I don't think our PR has any dependent changes. I did update the Swagger documentation with the responses, but I do not have any new requirements to be updated. It does not generate any warnings, doesn't break an existing functionality. I have not added tests. Hopefully they will pass successfully, and there aren't really any dependent changes according to me. So still testing. All tests are going fine till now. And we are done. We've run 91 tests and all of them were okay. So I'll just copy this and add it to how has this been tested. These three lines give an interface which I'll show you in a minute. So I'll write no new tests have been added. Actually, it doesn't take that much time for the test to run. It's because I was screen recording. So I've added responses, and you see this interface sort of thing. This came with these symbols. I don't know what are these called. Something like an apostrophe, but not an apostrophe. So I've added 201 created in the apps and put the changes. It fixes an issue. Previously tests are passing fine, and you see those X's created as ticks and the one without the X's are empty. You can tick it later also, later as in after making the PR, but it's good to do it before you make your PR. And here you can create pull request. And there you have it. You have created a pull request. It's a good idea to request reviews from people you see here. At least 2 approving reviews are required to merge this pull request. Chances are your pull request might require some changes, and then you'll be suggested with changes which you will need to, more changes that you might need to commit to this particular branch, and it will automatically be added to your PR. And also a good idea is to edit this. You could have done it while creating the PR as well. So I'll just say added 201 responses. I'll save this. Looks a little better. And you also have this Travis CI pull request. This will turn into a green tick. It will definitely turn into a green tick as we have already run tests. This is what it runs as well. So yeah, you have your PR ready, and soon it might merge. So go ahead and make your first PR.